Have you ever noticed that some outfits just feel expensive, even when they're made from affordable pieces? And then you've probably seen the opposite. Someone can wear designer labels from head to toe, yet somehow that same outfit still doesn't feel polished. So what creates that difference? Most people assume it's the brand, or they assume it's the price tag, or the quality of fabric, but that's not actually what your brain notices first. Long before you recognize the designer label, before you identify whether the shoes are leather, or whether the blazer costs $50 or $500, your brain has already started making judgments about the outfit. It's reading shape, it's reading balance, proportion, movement, and visual order. In other words, your brain is responding to design. And once you understand what it's looking for, getting dressed becomes a whole lot easier because you're no longer trying to copy someone else's outfit. You're learning how to create visual effect for yourself. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what your eye sees before your brain even realizes it. And once you understand these principles, you'll never look at clothing the same way again. Here's something fascinating. Your brain processes visual information incredibly quickly. Before it identifies a white blazer or dark denim or a pointed heel, it's already evaluating the overall picture. That's why you can look at someone from across the room and immediately think, she looks elegant, even before you can describe what she's actually wearing. Your brain is asking questions like, is this balanced? Is there visual harmony? Where should my eye look first? Does anything feel distracting? This happens almost instantly. And that's why two women wearing nearly identical clothing can create completely different impressions. It isn't always the clothing. It's how the visual information is arranged. Think of it like interior design. You don't walk into a beautiful room and immediately notice the brand of the sofa. You notice the atmosphere, the balance, the proportions. You notice the feeling. Fashion works exactly the same way. One of the biggest reasons certain outfits feel luxurious is because they're easy for your eye to process. Your eye naturally searches for order. When there are too many competing details, multiple bold accessories, busy prints, lots of contrasting colors, or several statement pieces fighting for attention, your eye doesn't know where to settle. It keeps searching. That creates visual noise. Now compare that to an outfit with one clear focal point. Maybe it's a beautiful coat or a structured handbag. Everything else quietly supports that one feature. And suddenly the outfit feels calmer, more intentional, more refined. Luxury brands understand this incredibly well. If you look through high-end advertising campaigns, you'll notice something very interesting. The styling is rarely shouting. Instead, it creates clarity. One focal point, simple supporting pieces. Nothing competing unnecessarily. That's one reason simplicity often feels expensive. Not because simple clothing costs more, but because your brain simply experiences it with less effort. Now let's talk about something I think has the biggest impact on how an outfit feels, and that's proportion. This is where clothing starts creating optical illusions. The rise of your jeans changes where your legs appear to begin. Sleeve length changes how long your arms appear. A cropped jacket changes where your torso visually ends. Even your shoes influence where the eye finishes its journey. These aren't fashion rules, they're visual principles. Imagine reading a sentence where every word is a different size. You could still read it, but it wouldn't feel smooth. Clothing works a lot in the same way. When proportions relate to one another, your eye moves effortlessly. That's one reason balanced outfits often feel more sophisticated. Not because they're trendy, but because they're visually comfortable. Now let's add another layer, and that's structure. One reason tailored clothing often feels more expensive has very little to do with the price. It's because structure creates clear visual boundaries. A crisp collar, a defined shoulder, a blazer that holds its shape, a trouser with a clean crease. Your eye immediately recognizes those strong lines. Now compare that to clothing that's overly stretched or wrinkled or collapsing into itself. Even if the fabric is beautiful, those unclear lines create less visual definition. This doesn't mean that everything has to be stiff. In fact, one of my favorite combinations is pairing something structured with something a little softer, like a tailored blazer with relaxed denim or a crisp shirt with flowing trousers. The contrast creates balance, and balance feels intentional. One of the biggest misconceptions in fashion is that elegant outfits always have to match. They don't. Harmony is much more important than matching. Think about a camel sweater, cream trousers, chocolate loafers, and a rich brown handbag. None of those colors are identical, but they relate to one another. The same idea applies to texture. Imagine soft cashmere paired with smooth leather, or crisp cotton next to relaxed linen. Different textures create different interests while still feeling connected. Luxury styling rarely relies on everything being the same. Instead, it creates relationships between the pieces. Your eye experiences that relationship as harmony. One thing I've noticed after studying luxury fashion is that luxury brands rarely try to make every single piece stand out. They actually do the opposite. Every piece has a job. One piece leads, and the others support it. That's visual hierarchy. And it's one of the reasons luxury campaigns feel so calm. Nothing is fighting for attention. Your eye knows exactly where to look. That's something every woman can apply, whether she's shopping at Target, Nordstrom, or wearing pieces that she's owned for 10 years. Because visual hierarchy doesn't cost money. It's simply thoughtful styling. Let's put everything that we've talked about into one outfit. Imagine a pair of dark, straight-leg jeans, an ivory knit, a structured blazer, chocolate leather shoes, and a classic handbag. Nothing about that outfit is screaming for attention, but every piece supports the next. The colors relate, the proportions feel balanced, the silhouette is clean, the structure creates definition. Your eye moves naturally through the entire outfit, and that's exactly why it feels polished. Not because of a logo, and not because someone spent thousands of dollars. It's because the visual design works. The biggest lesson that I hope you take away from today's video is this: style isn't just about clothing. It's about visual communication. Every outfit tells a story before anyone notices a brand or label, before they recognize the fabric, before the eye sees the price. The brain is already responding to shape, balance, clarity, and proportion. Once you begin understanding those visual principles, shopping becomes easier and building outfits becomes easier. And you'll probably find yourself buying fewer clothes because you'll know how to make the ones that you already own work better. If you enjoy learning the psychology behind why clothing creates certain visual effects, make sure you're subscribed, because that's exactly what we explore here every week. And if you would like to recreate some of the polished outfit examples from today's video, I'll link similar pieces in my LTK below so you can browse them by category. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.